at it, and she began to cry, because for the first time since she came back, she remembered everything. Some timelines can be reset, others fight back. The sky over Evermere turned violet, not the soft lilac of a spring sunset, but a sickly artificial hue, like the light wasn't coming from the sun at all, but from somewhere behind reality. Jisoo knew the signs now. It was starting again. Inside the rebuilt library, the clocks had stopped ticking. Everyone, even the digital ones. Ara stood beside the main terminal, staring at the anomaly report. There's a breach inside the seal. We're being hunted again. She turned to Jisoo, face pale. They've activated the purge protocol. What's that mean? He asked. It means they're not just targeting you or me anymore. They're coming for Evermere itself. Suddenly, the windows turned to static, not shattered, not darkened, just glitched. The air outside shimmered as if the entire town was inside a corrupted video file. Then came the sound, a high-pitched tone, like 1,000 memories screaming. Ara gasped. They've deployed a wraith. Jisoo's blood ran cold. A what? A memory-erasing entity, pure code, pure silence. It doesn't kill, it deletes. They ran, through the library's secret corridor, down the marble stairs into the chamber of floating maps. The maps were burning, not with fire, with white fire. Timeline burn, whole branches collapsing into ash, cities blinking out, people reduced to data fragments. They're wiping backup versions of this world, Ara whispered. If we die now, there's no coming back. As they reached the timekeeper vault again, the ground shuddered. The walls cracked open, and from the breach stepped a creature unlike anything Jisoo had seen. A figure with no face, no limbs, just a long coat woven from living shadows, and dozens of mirrored masks spinning where a face should be. Every time one turned, it showed Jisoo's face, dying in a different way. Jisoo Han, anchor anomaly, termination authorized. Ara stepped in front of him, activating her timekeeper badge. A glowing shield flickered to life, barely holding back the force of the creature's presence. I override this protocol. He is under temporal asylum. Invalid! The wraith stepped forward. The room froze around it. Time itself slowed. Dust hung in the air like frozen snow. Jisoo couldn't move, couldn't speak, until the memory drive in his pocket pulsed, the one he'd used to lock Ara's memory. He clutched it, and suddenly, time snapped back. He was free. Ara gasped. It recognized the seal. It can't erase you if you're tethered to a locked memory. Jisoo looked around. So we fight memory with memory? She nodded. But we need more. We need something personal, something they can't erase. The wraith lunged. Jisoo grabbed Ara's hand and ran. They reached the observatory tower, once used to track temporal shifts, now abandoned. There, in a dusty drawer, he found something he hadn't seen in years. A photograph. Him and his father. Before the car accident. Before everything fell apart. He remembered that day, the way his dad held him, the smell of sawdust on his jacket, the moment he knew he was loved. A real memory. He held it out. Try erasing this, the wraith screamed. Ara activated the Mimazani drive again. Together, they uploaded the memory, and for the first time, the wraith faltered. Its mirrored masks spun faster, trying to stabilize, but love, identity, real moments, were poison to it. With a final surge of light, the creature was thrown back into the breach. Gone. The sky outside returned to blue. The digital clocks ticked again. People in town blinked, unaware they had nearly ceased to exist. In the stillness, Ara turned to Jisoo. You fought it with who you are. He smiled weakly. Guess I'm hard to delete. But her face was serious now. That was just one wraith. There are more. They won't stop until the seal is broken or until I'm gone. Jisoo frowned. Why you? She hesitated, then whispered, because I'm not just a rogue timekeeper. I'm the one who caused the first reset. Time doesn't always move forward. Sometimes it circles the wound until we finally face it. After the Wraith attack, Jisoo and Ara hid in the only place untouched by the resets, the old Han Observatory, high above the rest of Evermere, where the air shimmered thin and cold and the stars flickered unnaturally. It was there that Jisoo first noticed it. The silence, no birds, no wind, no ticking of time. We're stuck, Ara whispered. She walked to the dusty telescope controls, ran her hand along the brass rim. They trapped us in a loop. What kind of loop? Jisoo asked. She didn't answer. She walked over to the door, opened it, and the same moment repeated. She was back at the telescope again, saying, "We're stuck." Jisoo blinked. "Wait, didn't you just—" "Yes," she nodded. "And we'll do it again and again until the loop fulfills its function." What function? To force us to remember. Suddenly, the room changed. They were no longer in the observatory. They were standing at a subway station, underground, dim and soys empty, except for Ara's body lying motionless on the tracks. Jisoo stepped back, his breath catching. What is this? The original reset, Ara said quietly. The day you died, and the day I broke time to bring you back. He looked at her in disbelief. I died? She nodded, eyes full of sorrow. You jumped in after me. The ministry said it was an accident, but I know it wasn't. She touched the scene. It shimmered like glass. I tried to reverse it, but every time I saved you, something else broke. Time doesn't give second chances. It demands payment. The loop changed again. Now Jisoo was on a hospital bed, Ara beside him. The heart monitor flatlined, then looped again. He was on a train platform, holding her hand, saying goodbye. Then looped again. They were in the rain, her memory fading, his voice crying out, "Don't forget me, please." Jisoo dropped to his knees. "Make it stop." Ara looked down at him, kneeling beside him, her voice barely a whisper. We have to remember everything. Only then will the loop end. Why are you showing me this? Because the ministry took your memories, but I couldn't. You chose to love me over and over, even when it destroyed you. Suddenly, static. The loop cracked. The world shuddered. The floor beneath them fractured, revealing a burning white sky underneath. They were falling through timelines now, 1,000 versions of themselves, married, strangers, fighting, dying, running, kissing under fireworks, alone in different years, together in impossible places. Jisoo shouted over the rushing collapse. What does it all mean? Ara grabbed his wrist as time peeled around them. It means our story never ends the same way. But no matter what timeline we fall into, she looked into his eyes. You always find me. Suddenly, silence. They landed in a small garden. A warm breeze blew through cherry blossoms, and Ara gasped. This is the forbidden memory. Jisoo turned slowly. A boy stood nearby, younger, wearing a school uniform, watching Ara from behind a tree. He recognized the boy. It was him. This was the first time I saw you, Jisoo whispered. You were crying in the rain. I gave you my umbrella. Ara looked stunned. I never remembered this. Because it was real, Jisoo said. The ministry never found this moment. It wasn't in their archives. The younger Ara looked up at the younger Jisoo, and for the first time, she smiled. The memory turned to light. A soft chime echoed around them. The loop was breaking. Ara reached for Jisoo's hand. We need to go back now. Back where? To the ministry. Why? She took a breath. Because I know how to end this. But to do it, I have to give up everything. Jisoo frowned. What do you mean? She looked at him, eyes filled with sorrow and certainty. I'm going to erase myself from the timeline. Before time rushes forward, sometimes it holds its breath. Everything was still. No ticking clocks, no humming power lines, not even the soft buzz of wind. The world had paused, a rare effect only the timekeepers could access. Ara had triggered a time pocket, a space between seconds. They had exactly 1 hour, frozen in a moment no one else could enter. They sat together on a rooftop, the very one where they once watched stars that weren't really stars. Jisoo looked over at Ara, who was hugging her knees, eyes distant. You really plan to erase yourself? She didn't answer right away, only nodded. He looked down at the city of Evermere, trapped in that surreal stillness. Cars mid-move, pedestrians frozen like statues, even birds suspended in the sky like origami. Why now? He asked softly. Because the timeline is splintering. The ministry thinks if they wipe me, everything will fall back into order. And will it? Ara turned to him, eyes trembling, brave but breaking. I don't know, but it will keep you safe. Stop doing that, he said suddenly, voice firmer than he meant. She blinked. Doing what? Choosing me over yourself. A pause. Then Jisoo reached into his pocket and pulled out something small. A music player. Old, scratched, the kind that only played downloaded tracks. I've kept this since college. This song always reminded me of you. He clicked play. A soft melody filled the rooftop. A simple piano tune. Gentle, nostalgic, bittersweet. Ara's eyes softened. You really kept this? Even after the resets, even when I didn't know your name. She leaned her head on his shoulder. I'm scared. Me too. For a moment, they just listened. No words, no time, only the song. Then she whispered, almost too quietly, do you think we were meant to meet in every timeline? He looked at her. No, no. He smiled. I think we chose to. They watched the sun rise, frozen in mid-motion, a golden orb half lifted into the sky. It would never fully rise in this pocket, but somehow it still gave warmth. Ara turned toward him. There's a way to do this without me vanishing. Jisoo looked up. How? It's dangerous. It would mean I lose access to all timelines. I'd be ordinary, human. That's it? It means I'd forget all of this, the resets, the loops, even you. Would I forget you too? No, she said softly, because you're the fixed point. You never forget me. That's your curse and your gift. He held her hand gently. I'd rather spend a lifetime helping you fall in love with me all over again than a second without you at all. Her eyes welled up. Even if I'm not me, you'll still be you, just finally free. The pocket began to shimmer. It was collapsing. Their hour was up. Ara stood. Jisoo stood beside her. When we go back, she said, we go to the ministry. Together. Together. And after? She smiled, eyes glistening. Let's write a story that doesn't need time travel to be beautiful. The world began to move again. Birds flew, wind whispered, and the sun finally rose over Evermere, brighter than it had in years. Some towns are built with stone and steel. Evermere was built with secrets. The Ministry of Temporal Integrity was hidden beneath Evermere's oldest building, the former town courthouse. At ground level, it looked abandoned, but underneath, it buzzed with silent power. Jisoo and Ara stood at the entrance, a stone staircase that led deep beneath the earth. No guards, no alarms, just the sound of something ancient pulsing like a heartbeat. They know we're coming, Ara whispered. They want us to. They descended. Stone walls gave way to metal, metal to glowing crystal. Then light. A massive underground chamber opened up, revealing hundreds of floating memory shards, glowing fragments of people, places, timelines. And in the center of it all, a machine, huge, circular, alive with blue-white energy. The anchor core. A woman stepped from the shadows. Tall, cold, her hair silver, her eyes burning with restrained time energy. Welcome back, timekeeper Ara. Ara tensed. Director Hyun. And Jisoo Han, the director said slowly. The last true fixed point in this collapsing simulation. Jisoo stepped forward. What are you talking about? Hyun raised her hand. A panel of floating images appeared, Evermere, resetting itself over and over, tiny variations each time. Evermere is not just a town, it's the epicenter of our experiment. You are inside a controlled timeline matrix, a pocket world, a test. Jisoo staggered. This whole time, this isn't real? Ara grabbed his hand. It's real enough. The pain, the choices, the memories, they were yours. Director Hyun smiled coldly. You were chosen for your emotional stability, Mr. Han. You ground timelines. That's why every version of Ara returns to you. So I'm a, what, lab rat? No, Hyun said. You're the key. The room darkened. On the central monitor, scenes flashed rapidly. Different Evermeres, different Jisu's, different Aras, all looping, all breaking down. We've tried over 4,000 simulations, Hyun continued, but your bond always breaks the loop before it completes. You love each other too much. You've destabilized the data. You were never meant to choose her. You were meant to observe her. Ara turned, furious. So you want to erase me? Again? Not erase, Hyun corrected. Isolate. You're too volatile. You remember too much. You care too much. Suddenly, Ara reached into her pocket and activated the Minimazini drive. The room shimmered. Memories began flooding the space. Not just hers, not just Jisoo's, but other versions of them. Smiling in a kitchen, arguing in a hallway, dancing in a snowstorm. All looping toward the same emotion. Love. The ministry alarms blared. Director Hyun stepped back. What are you doing? Ara smiled tearfully. I'm collapsing the anchor core's protocol. Jisoo stepped in beside her. We're rewriting the loop. The core screamed as timelines began merging. Reality bent, buildings reformed, the sky shattered into layers. Voices of past selves echoed through the chamber. This isn't safe, Hyun shouted. You'll destroy the Matrix. Ara's voice was calm. Then let it fall. Jisoo took Ara's hand. They closed their eyes. The Mnemosyne drive pulsed once, twice, then exploded in light, and everything went white. Jisoo opened his eyes. He was lying in grass, real grass. The wind was warm. The sun was rising. The town of Evermere was gone. No resets, no codes, just silence. Then, a voice, software familiar. Jisoo, he turned. Ara stood beneath a tree, hair longer, eyes different. She didn't recognize him, but she looked curious, drawn, like she always was. Do I know you? She asked. He smiled. Not yet. When memory fades, love becomes instinct. The new world was quiet. Evermere no longer existed. In its place was a small coastal town, Xianghua, untouched by resets, codes, or timelines. Ara lived a quiet life here. She worked at a bookstore near the harbor, spent mornings reading under a tree, and had dreams she didn't understand. Flashes of stardust, whispers in strange languages, eyes she couldn't forget. Jisoo had arrived 3 weeks earlier. He didn't speak to her. He only watched from a distance, waiting, not stalking, protecting, because this Ara didn't remember him. She was reset, just as she had planned. I promised I wouldn't force it, he told himself. If she never remembers, I'll still be near her. That's enough. But at night he dreamed of her, every version of her, the Ara who ran through rain, the one who kissed him in a time collapse, the one who died to save him, and now this one, smiling softly behind a counter, no memory of their 1,000 lives. One evening, the sky turned violet. It was the anniversary of the collapse, not in this world, but in his soul. Jisoo stood by the sea, watching the tide, wondering if he was a fool to believe in fate. That's when she walked up beside him, Ara, holding a small notebook. "Do I know you?" she asked. His heart stilled, just like the first moment in every lifetime. He gave the same answer. "Not yet." She smiled faintly. "You come to the bookstore a lot. I like the silence. You never buy anything. I'm waiting." "For what?" He looked at her. "For someone to remember me." She tilted her head, then slowly handed him the notebook. I, I draw faces sometimes," she said softly. "Ones I see in my dreams." He opened the book, and there it was. Him, drawn over and over in different scenes. In rain, in fire, in stars. His hands trembled. "You drew these?" "I don't know why," she said, "but I always wake up crying when I do." A pause. Then she whispered, "Who are you?" Jisoo stepped closer. He didn't tell her the whole truth, just enough. "We were something once, in another life, maybe in many. And in this one?" He looked at her, this Ara, fresh and fragile and whole. "In this one, I'd like to meet you for the first time." She stared at him for a long moment, then extended her hand. "Hi," she said. "I'm Ara." He took her hand. "Jisoo. Would you like to have coffee sometime, Jisoo?" His heart swelled. So simple, so ordinary, so perfect. "I'd love that." And as they walked back together toward the bookstore and the fading light, a single blue butterfly drifted across the sky, a remnant of the Minamosini Drive, a symbol of everything they had been and everything they might become. Love doesn't need memory to begin again, just a moment. A year had passed. Ara and Jisoo now lived in Seonghwa, side by side, in rhythm, in laughter, in the quiet. They had become something new, not because of memories, not because of destiny, but because of choice. She never remembered the timelines, not fully. Sometimes she'd wake from a dream of a burning city or a starlit corridor, but the details slipped away like water through fingers, and he never forced it. Jisoo never told her about the resets, or the ministry, or how many times she died in his arms. He didn't need to. This version of Ara was whole, finally free from burden, from time, from sacrifice. She was simply alive. And that was enough. But fate, as always, has a quiet way of lingering. One evening, Ara found a box in the back of the bookstore, misfiled, dusty. Inside were books with no titles, blank covers. But when she opened one, it wasn't blank at all. It was a story. Their story, written in fragmented journal entries, sketches, equations, and poems, as if someone had tried to piece together the impossible. She called for Jisoo. "Do you know anything about this?" He stared at the box, heart pounding. It was the journal he thought had vanished with the collapse, the chronicle of the loops. "I thought I lost that," he said, voice trembling. "You wrote this?" He hesitated, then nodded. "Most of it, some was hers." Hers! Another you from before this world. Ara didn't speak for a while, just read, entry after entry. Some made her cry, some made her laugh, all made her feel something deep and unshakable, like a key turning in a long-forgotten lock. It's strange, she said softly. I don't remember these things, but I feel them. He looked at her, really looked, and said the words he'd said across countless lives. You don't have to remember the past to write the future. A tear slipped down her cheek. Then she did something unexpected. She picked up a pen and began to write. A new page, a new story, their story from this timeline. The one where she lived, the one where he waited, the one where love, at last, was ordinary, and that made it extraordinary. 6 months later, their first book was published, Parallel Hearts, written under a shared pseudonym, a novel about a girl who could travel time and the boy who always found her. It became a quiet cult favorite. Whispers said it felt too real, like it had been lived. At night, they'd sometimes lie awake together, fingers tangled. She'd ask, "Do you ever miss her?" And he'd answer, "She's here. She always has been." And somewhere, in a place beyond time, a version of Ara, shimmering in a cascade of light, watched over them with a smile. Finally at peace. Finally free. Love doesn't end when time does. It just finds another way to begin.